Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Graphic Novels and Manga Showcase. I'm Sarah Hunter, Books for Youth and Graphic Novels Editor at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URL on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and will pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable them on your screen, please look for and click the Show Captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of them at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Erica Stone, Library Marketing Manager at Random House Children's Books, Danielle Presley, Marketing Associate at Penguin Young Readers, Morgan Perry, Marketing Manager at Square Enix, Manga and Books, Jeffrey Lappet, Sales and Marketing Specialist at Papercutz, an imprint of Mad Cave Studios, Kristen Simon, Senior Editor at Papercutz, an imprint of Mad Cave Studios, Morgana Santilli, Sales and Marketing Coordinator at Yen Press, and Ingrid Lorenzi, Sales and Marketing Assistant at Yen Press. We'll kick things off with Erica Stone. Erica is the Manager for Library Marketing at Random House Children's Books. Thanks for being here, Erica. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here to tell you about some of our upcoming titles. So next slide. Okay, Magic Tree House Sunset at the Sabertooth. The Ice Age is a super cool time for two kids in bathing suits. Jack and Annie almost freeze when the Magic Tree House transports them back to the era of cave bears, early humans, and woolly mammoths. But nothing can prevent them from having another exciting adventure, not even a Sabertooth. This is the 7th installment in the Magic Tree House graphic novel series, which shows no signs of slowing down. Next slide. Pizza and Taco, Best Christmas Ever. Get ready for the holiday season with Pizza and Taco, the best Christmas ever. Will Pizza and Taco impress Santa Slaw, or will their antics land them on the naughty list? This delightful graphic novel is packed with laughter as our foodie besties embark on their quest to create the ultimate Christmas wish list and prove they've been nice, not naughty. The graphic novel series is sure to appeal to kids ages 5 to 8. It's a charming chapter book format, and it's perfect for boosting reading confidence and promises giggles and a great story. Next slide. The Grinch Takes a Vacation. Our Dr. Seuss graphic novel program launched earlier this year with Cat Out of Water, and now Dr. Seuss's beloved and iconic character, the Grinch, is starring in his own brand new story. It's vacation time in Whoville, and determined to learn what the Whos are so excited about, the Grinch decides to go on his own vacation. Will there be some fun in the sun for everyone's favorite Grinch? Or is the Who's favorite grumpy neighbor doomed to stay home? Katie Van Doren's art style honors the original, but gives a new take on a fan favorite. These chapter book graphic novels are a perfect bridge book for fans of the original series of picture books, as well as fans of the series like Elephant and Piggy. Next slide. Gnome and Rat First Snow. Get ready for an avalanche of fun in the 3rd installment of the beloved Gnome and Rat graphic novel series. This time, Gnome and Rat are gearing up to celebrate Nest Fest with Rat's family. But hold on, a blizzard is about to shake things up. Together, they'll attempt some ice dancing and thrill-seeking with a gnome boggin ride, all while racing against the clock to reach the festival. This snowy adventure is packed with laughter, friendship, and the power of teamwork. These two really know how to make the most out of every moment. Next slide. Super Magic Boy 2, I Am a Space Tiger. Join Hugo and Dino as their space adventure in an exciting graphic novel. They're on a mission to find the perfect birthday gift for Hugo's mom before her special day arrives. They travel to this planet of space tigers, where Hugo transforms into a space tiger to help his new alien friends. This tale shows that most special gifts are created from the heart with a little imagination and teamwork. Next slide. Taxi Ghost. When Adelaide gets her first period, she learns she comes from a long line of mediums. And if seeing ghosts wasn't enough of a surprise, she learns that not only can she interact with them, but apparently they've been using her sister's car to get around the city for years. When the ghosts won't leave her alone, Adelaide starts to get to know them and their problems. Maybe helping them out will be just what she needs for an exciting winter break. This is from the beloved author of Witches of Brooklyn series, and it's a brilliant contemporary graphic novel with a supernatural twist that explores growing up and the importance of standing up for what you believe in. Next slide. Nell of Gumbling, My Extremely Tiny Forest Adventure. Welcome back to Gumbling, friends. From the best-selling author of The OK Witch comes another adventure about a 12-year-old girl living an ordinary life in a magical land. Nell Starkeeper is about to go on Gumbling's Rite of Passage, the multidisciplinary wilderness engagement adventure, where all of the 7th graders will spend a whole week in the forest. Sure, it's an enchanted forest that's full of Gumble creatures, where your most secret wish could be granted at any moment, but that's nothing unusual for Nell. What's really magical is that Nell gets to be on a team with all her best friends. But when this epically enchanted camping trip takes a wrong turn, Nell and her friends will have to find a way to work together and celebrate each other's strengths and vulnerabilities to avoid a giant disaster. Next slide. Katie the cat sitter is back in another exciting adventure, and this time she just might need the assistance of an elephant. When the new menace threatens the city, Katie is determined to save the day with a top secret plan that supports her friends. It also includes an invite to the fanciest party and the care of 217 quirky cats. Packed with more drama, disguises, and surprises than ever before, can Katie execute the plan of the century and come out on top? Get ready for a whirlwind of fun and feline chaos. This best-selling graphic novel series is perfect for fans of the Sweet Valley Twins and the Babysitters Club. Next slide. Turning 12. Katie can't wait to turn 12. Pool parties, babysitting, friends. But sometimes it feels like there's so much new stuff she can barely keep up. And she starts having a new kind of feeling for her friend, Grace. Could Katie have a crush on another girl? Katie might not be ready to tell anyone, and that's fine. But can she stay true to herself and embrace the person she's growing to be? Set in the universe of the critically acclaimed Growing Pangs comes a sweet and sensitive graphic novel about growing up and discovering your own identity. Next slide. Greater Secrets. This is actually a YA standalone graphic novel that we're super excited to have on our list. Maya's family is cursed, or blessed, depending on who you talk to. For as far back as anyone can remember, her family has had the ability to see a mysterious pillar of light in the distance. Maya's sister left to follow the light and has been missing ever since. That's how Maya finds herself on a surreal road trip with 2 people she barely knows, headed toward a ghost town where her sister was last seen. Unfortunately, the closer Maya gets to her sister, the closer she gets to her own pillar of light. Maya doesn't know if she's ready to face her own destiny, but if it means finding her sister, she'll do whatever it takes. This surreal young adult graphic novel is perfect for fans of Leigh Bardugo and Mariko Tamaki. And next slide. So we have a new format for our Baby Mouse series. Next slide. The beloved Baby Mouse series is now available in an exciting, oversized, and full-color edition for the first time. This 2-in-1 comic collection includes the spirited elementary schoolers' hilarious adventures, Queen of the World, and Our Hero. In Queen of the World, she dreams of attending the coolest slumber party of the year, while in Our Hero, she faces off against her biggest challenges, Felicia Furpaws and the dreaded gym class. This popular series is perfect for young readers and has captivated millions of fans with its humor and charm. Join Baby Mouse as she proves once again that she is the queen of imagination and the hero of every kid's school day. And that's the final slide. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Erica. And now we'll be joined by Danielle Presley. Danielle is a marketing associate on the school and library team at Penguin Young Readers. Take it away, Danielle.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Today I'll be sharing a few of Penguin's favorite graphic novels. With summer sadly coming to an end and school starting already for some of you, I'll quickly go through some of our graphic novel offerings for the fall. First up, picture book illustrator Jing Song explores a much more personal story in her author-illustrator graphic novel debut, Fake Chinese Sounds, which just received its second star review. Between homework, studying, and Chinese school, Mei Ying's summer is shaping up to be a boring one. Her only bright spots are practice with her soccer team and the time spent with her grandmother, who is visiting from Taiwan. Although Mei Ying's Mandarin isn't the best and her grandmother doesn't speak English, they find other ways to connect. You can go to the next slide. This graphic novel provides young readers with a mirror and guide for what to do if they experience microaggressions, racism, or injustice in a school setting. It also affirms their experiences and feelings, especially anger towards instances of racism or insufficient allyship. And you can go to the next slide. We can't get enough of Jennifer Dugan. In this paranormal romance that just pubbed today, Tessa sucks at being a werewolf. She can't even fully shift. She gets stuck at mid-shift, a wolfman-like state. Ever since her father passed away, she has really struggled to fit in with her family, her pack, and live up to the standards of her obnoxious perfect sister. Next, please. When she hears a rumor about a cure, she can't think of anything but the idea of a normal life. Maybe she could even come out to the girl she has been crushing on forever, but her quest for normalcy draws the attention of hunters and puts both her pack and the girl she loves at risk. Next, we have New York Times bestselling author David Arnold's first graphic novel. One of David's strongest assets is his ability to write quippy banter and dialogue that packs a punch. Ty and Berger have known each other since before they could walk, but this shared history is nothing compared to their plans for the future. Step 1, make a killer documentary about humanity's recent brush with extinction. Step 2, apply to film school together. Step 3, achieve legendary status as the next great filmmaking duo. But Ty has a secret that will ultimately shake the foundations of their friendship and force them both to wonder if growing up means letting go of the people they once were. And you can go to the next slide. At its core, Luminous Beings is about moving forward in life and navigating the inevitable challenges faced between adolescence and adulthood. And then next, we have the second book in the Glass Scientist series. And if you're not familiar, the series is the physical editions of the already popular webcomic series of the same name. London isn't the safest place for mad scientists these days. In fact, if it weren't for one extraordinary young man, every out-of-the-box thinker would have been locked up or worse. That young man is none other than Dr. Henry Jekyll. And next slide. He believes mad scientists would thrive if they could just fix their public image, which is why he founded the Society for Arcane Sciences, a place where like-minded eccentrics could come together to defy the laws of nature and peace. Amidst a landscape of potions and misunderstood monsters, the Glass Scientist explores themes of identity and self-acceptance in a world ruled by shame and fear. And the next acclaimed creators, Kim Hyun-suk and Ryan Estrada, the creators of Banned Book Club, deliver a cinematic, hilarious, and heartfelt YA graphic novel about the universality of growing up, making friends, and falling in love. And you can go to the next slide. It's time for the annual winter camp at Anjan University, a full weekend deep in the mountains with no parental supervision. But this is no ordinary getaway. It's 1980 South Korea, where the police are always watching and even the slightest bit of self-expression can lead to arrest. Luckily, it's the only night of the year when generations of Koreans had no curfew, no obligations, and no rules, Christmas Eve. My next title, The Terrifying Tales of Vivian Vance by Josh Ulrich, focuses on a Veronica Mars-esque amateur detective with Lovecraftian monsters. Parents in Pinsmouth tell their children a devious bedtime tale. Their beloved town is riddled with flesh takers, monsters who snatch unruly kids off the street if they don't go to sleep on time. Vivian Vance, amateur teen detective, heard that story as a kid and never believed it. Next slide. Josh's brand of storytelling blends lighthearted comedy with serious and frightening threats. It's a horror story while also being filled with heart, hope, laughter, and a belief that you can change yourself for the better. I'm very excited to share with you the very first book in a brand new graphic novel series called Sports Superheroes. Josh Bissell and Rich Corson have created a fictional universe where there is a secret council who meet to appoint the next generation of sports superheroes to help preserve the sanctity of professional sports from any wrongdoing, like cheating or unsportsmanlike conduct. But the council needs help, and they found two of the worthiest individuals for the job, Jesse and Maya. The council needs someone who is not only the embodiment of athletic greatness, but someone who is a selfless leader and supports their teammates through thick and thin. And the kids select Stephen Curry. This propels the readers on a biographical tour de force of Curry's life, told from Jesse and Maya the way that they see it. Next, please. Aaron Alexovich makes his graphic novel debut with Shock City. When shy, anxious Milo rings the doorbell of the forbidden Shock City castle on a dare, he gets more than he bargained for when peppy young monster Sunny answers the door and labels herself Milo's new BFF. But when Milo returns to tell Sunny he and the rest of the town's residents are moving out of the crumbling Shock City, his monster pal refuses to accept it. Next slide. Sunny is determined to make Milo stay by teaming up with him to resolve all the unfixable issues Shock City is facing. With its easily digestible plot and relatable characters, fast pacing, and humor, this is a perfect recipe for reluctant readers. Max Brallier, the author of the Last Kids on Earth series, called it equal parts nightmarish and outrageously funny. And speaking of Max Brallier, that's right, everyone. It's the real deal. The Last Kids is being adapted into full-length graphic novels. We're beginning a series of graphic novels that corresponds directly with each original series book, beginning with book 1, The Last Kids on Earth. Next slide. We're excited to bring Last Kids to new readers and existing fans ready for a whole new reading experience of their favorite series. With over 10 million Last Kids books in print, a Netflix show, and multiple spin-offs, this is the perfect next step for our apocalyptic crew. And then next slide. I know I mentioned it being back to school time earlier, and this is a hilarious new early reader graphic novel series that follows the adventures of two best friends' school supplies, Pencil and Eraser. It's the start of a new school year, and Pencil and Eraser are ready for anything, except when Pencil notices her point is dulled. Next slide, please. That's never happened before, and she feels pointless. Stella can't write with a dull pencil, so what can Pencil do? The only answer is to leave the comfort of their desk behind and venture out to find a sharpener. But if Pencil is going on an adventure, she'll need to bring her reluctant bestie, Eraser, along for the ride. And for my last title today, I have The Gingerbread Man Paper Airplane on the Loose. Fan favorite picture book character Gingerbread Man is taking to the sky in this graphic novel for the earliest readers. When Gingerbread Man's class mixes science and math to make paper airplanes, they get to launch them outside. Next slide. But uh-oh, his friend Maya's plane gets stuck high in a tree. How can they possibly get it down? Luckily, the smart cookie is also brave and has an adventurous plan to rescue the plane. And before I turn it over to our next person, you can go. I just wanted to call out our Penguin Graphics catalog linked here on the screen. So you can either use the link or the QR code that you see. This is a brochure which highlights all of our graphic novels, including our backlist. And we try to update this seasonally so that you'll never miss any of the titles that we have. And then my last slide. Thanks so much for being here with us, the other panelists. The PYR School and Library team has more resources on our website, such as Booklist, discussion guides, author videos, storytime activities, and more. Just go to penguinclassroom.com, or you can reach us at any of the social media handles listed here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle. We'll now hear from Morgan Perry. Morgan is the marketing manager for Square Enix Manga and Books, where she develops the marketing strategies, execution, and implementation for the book publishing division in collaboration with Penguin Random House and Square Enix Japan. Prior to joining Square Enix, Morgan was the brand manager of editorial for Skybound Entertainment, where she collaborated in overseeing the marketing and sales strategies for the company's comic book and graphic novel releases. Morgan was also a key player on the sales team at Boom Studios, where she led and managed the sales strategy for comic shop communications and retailer variant program for the company's biggest series. You can find Morgan on social media, where she shares her publishing insights and her love of comics, manga, and anime. She's still surprised no one has figured out she's just 3 possums in a coat with a caffeine addiction. Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you so much. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm excited to speak with you about one of my all-time favorite things ever, manga, and we have a bunch of great titles coming from Square Enix this fall. So next slide. First up, we have our upcoming fall releases. Next slide. Punching and kicking our way into the fall manga releases is always a catch. How I punched my way into marrying a prince. Next slide. If the title wasn't a dead giveaway, this is a shoujo series starring a leading lady that doesn't wait around to be saved. She will do the butt kicking herself, and I, for one, am like, let's go, girl. Next slide. This zany rom-com about a duke's daughter who's more of a fighter than a lady. And when life gives you lemons, you put on your cute little brass knuckle hair clip, you beat up a bunch of bandits, and you accidentally save a prince who happens to have zero ego about the whole situation and decides that you're the one. That, my friends, is what we call a green flag type of guy. So next slide. Always a catch, How I Punch My Way into Marrying a Prince is absolutely hilarious and adorable, as you can see from Kaki Nagato's expressive interiors, and it's sure to become a favorite among non-traditional shoujo readers who prefer to have a leading lady who's heartfelt and tough instead of helpless and tiring. Next slide. This series is perfect for the romantasy fanatics of all ages who love series such as The Apothecary Diaries and My Happy Marriage, and it's available November 26th. Next slide. Next up is my personal favorite from the fall lineup, Dragon and Chameleon by Ryo Shiyama. Buckle up because you are in for a wild ride. Next slide. Dragon and Chameleon stars a veteran manga creator, and this legendary mangaka has it all going for him. A long-running series in a Shonen Jump type equivalent magazine, an anime on the air, merch galore, and he is just winning at life and living the manga dream. And also, he's like a super nice and positive and uplifting guy. Next slide. That all changes when a workplace accident causes him to switch bodies with his jealous assistant, who's known for copying anyone's style. Instead of being angry or upset at the idea of an imposter taking over his series, the veteran mangaka sees this as an ultimate challenge to beat himself and claw his way back into the spotlight as a no-name aspiring artist. Next slide. This is the first full-length series from Ryo Ishiyama, who's a former assistant who cut his teeth on the pages of Weekly Shonen Jump as an assistant to Eiichiro Oda on the global hit One Piece. Dragon and Chameleon is art about art, providing readers with an inside look at the manga industry through a dramatized lens. Next slide. It's perfect for fans of Blue Period, Look Back, Bakuman. Dragon and Chameleon will be a powerhouse hit with readers, available November 19th. Next slide. Rounding us out for the fall releases is ones that I know that fans are incredibly excited about because I see all of their tweets online, is the My Happy Marriage art book. Next slide. With the summer 2023 Netflix hit anime taking viewers by storm and the manga receiving multiple reprintings, next slide, the My Happy Marriage art book transforms the series into a premium hardcover art book with luxe editions and exclusive bonus contents for fans. Next slide. Featuring over 80 gorgeous illustrations from Rito Kosaka, the new bonus short stories from the original author, fans are treated to a behind-the-scenes commentary behind some of their favorite and more iconic scenes from the light novel series and the manga. Next slide. The My Happy Marriage art book is a premium must-have for any My Happy Marriage fan and will be available in December. So if you find yourself bringing in more art books for the aspiring or artistically inclined patrons, this one should not be missed. Next slide. I'm excited to give you guys a larger preview of what's to come in 2025. Our entire spring 2025 line has been announced at Anime Expo, but there were 3 titles that I wanted to highlight in today's presentation, and we're going to make it special with a trailer. So cue it up. Next slide. Next slide. Let the shipping begin with the Otaku Love Connection, a wacky slice of life rom-com about Wataru Otonari, a high school student who's obsessed with his high school's gorgeous power couple. He is what we call a love otaku. Next slide. And while he meets other students who stan his OTP, this self-professed NPC doesn't realize he's actually giving main character vibes. Next slide. But even if he doesn't see it, this wallflower's hidden beauty is on full display for another one of his classmates who's about to draw him in to the hilarious high school drama. Next slide. The Otaku Love Connection pokes fun in the best way at fandom culture. While our NPC, or our main character is all about his OTP power couple, a BL fangirl would rather see the guy with another guy, while a Yuri fanboy would rather ship the girl with another girl. These dynamics and feelings are something that anyone who's steeped in deep manga culture, such as fandoms or K-pop or idols, can immediately relate to and feel seen, again, in the best way. Next slide. The Otaku Love Connection is perfect for teens 13 and up who are fans of Wotakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku, Princess Jellyfish, and BL Metamorphosis, and it's headed your way in February of 2025. And next up is our next trailer, so let's kick it.
働く人々にはオンとオフがある。ある人は会社員と女装ロリータ。ある人は会社員と男装パンク。そんな2人が偶然オフモードで出会ったら、イケメンでコミュ力の高いあまたさんと地味な女性事務職員のハンクさん。会社ではあまり折り合いの良くない2人だけど、私生活では違う顔を持っている。ある時オフの2人は偶然街で出会い、連絡先を交換することに。互いの私生活を知らないあまたさんとハンクさんはオフを通じてその距離を徐々に近づけていく。オンとオフのギャップにキュン必至。働く2人のメタモルフォーゼ日常譚。会社と私生活、オンとオフ。
Next slide. So our second series is one that I'm personally excited for. And tell me if you've heard this one before. She was a punk. He was a Lolita. Can we make it any more obvious? On and Off Work-Life Imbalance is a charming and sweet slice of life story about two working adults who form a friendship on their off time. Next slide. Satoru Amada is your average everyday office worker who's beloved by his colleagues for his charming good looks and attitude. In his off time, he dons frilly Lolita-style dresses, fashionable wigs, and adorable accessories, preferring to spend time shopping for the pieces for his next stunning outfit. Next slide. And while Amada's coworker, Akira Hanku, is known throughout the office for her stern demeanor and no-nonsense approach to her tasks, in her off time, Hanku is a fashionista of my own heart, expressing herself through an androgynous punk style, piercing spikes, and those iconic creepers. Next slide. When they accidentally meet on the streets of Tokyo in their off time, these two fashionistas form a fast friendship without realizing that they're actually coworkers who see each other every day. Next slide. On and Off Work-Life Imbalance is a beautiful look at modern friendship formed while challenging gender norms through fashion, and it's perfect for fans for The Guy I Like That Turned Out Not to Be a Guy, Nana, and My Dress-Up Darling, and it's headed your way May of next year. Next slide. Our next series is Love in the Palm of His Hand, and I'm going to go through this really quick. One of our most anticipated BL series coming in 2025. Next slide. This is about a student who is an actor, and he finds himself suddenly immersed in the world of sign language when he meets another student who is hard of hearing. After having a bunch of failed auditions, he's feeling really down on himself, but this connection with the other student and learning sign language has been just an expressive way of his friendship moving into a romance. And Love in the Palm of His Hand is at its core a story about living in a world where you yearn to be understood and told through the eyes of a friendship and a budding romance between one hard of hearing person and one not hard of hearing person. Next slide. This is arriving May of 2025, and Love in the Palm of His Hand is perfect for fans of Sign of Affection, Cherry Magic, and I Hear the Sunspot. Next slide. These are just gorgeous artwork interiors by Rentaku. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this extended look at some of our spring 2025 launches. Next slide. But that's not all. We also have 4 more manga titles that are suited for older teen and mature readers. Wash It All Away, The Emperor's Caretaker, The God-Slaying Demon King, and Assassin Cinderella. And if you'd like to know more about any of our highly curated lineup, we have all of that information coming your way. Next slide. In addition to those 7 new manga headed your way in 2025, we also have 2 additions from the Square Enix lineup of books, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth poster collection and the Apothecary Diaries art book. Next slide. And that's all from me. Please keep in touch via email or on social media if you'd like to get the latest news on our upcoming series, receive PDFs, or have questions. Next slide. We are Square Enix. Next slide. And you can uncover Unforgettable with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Our next presentation will come from the Papercutz team, Jeffrey Lapid and Kristen Simon. Jeffrey is a publishing professional with over 10 years of experience working with comic books, graphic novels, and children's picture books. Kristen is a senior editor at Mad Cave Studios, where she oversees their new manga imprint, Nakama Press, which was just announced this past week. It will focus on manga-inspired projects from all over the world, including manhwa, and manfra, as well as American manga. Thanks for being here, Jeffrey and Kristen. The floor is yours.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jeffrey Lapid. I'm the sales and marketing specialist for Mad Cave, Maverick, and Papercutz. Here are some titles that are going to be coming out later this year from Mad Cave. Next slide, please. Our first title is Clay-Footed Giants, which will be coming out in October. Clay-Footed Giants is a story that examines how generational traumas are passed down and how that trauma affects mental health and parenting. Next slide, please. Pat and Matthew, 2 fathers who pride themselves on their modern approaches to fatherhood, both come to realize that the antiquated notions of gender roles and masculinity held by their own fathers are still deeply ingrained in them, despite all their surface efforts to be enlightened, progressive, feminist men. Next slide, please. Clay-Footed Giants is Mad Cave's first foray into a more literary style of autofiction graphic novel. It is written from personal experience of the creators, Mark McGuire and Alain Chevalier, and it is a very insightful, heartfelt, and ultimately very inspirational. We already moved on to the next slide here. Next slide here is Love Me. This is Love Me, a romance story. It's a dystopian love story about Jojo, a robot taxi driver that falls in love with one of his fares, Gilda, a beautiful lawyer for the local mob. Love Me is the follow-up to Bram Stoker Award winner Stefano Cardacelli's Don't Spit in the Wind, also published by Mad Cave. It's set in the same quirky sci-fi universe where technology runs rampant and everyone drinks way too much coffee. Next slide, please. Stefano's art is very fun and reminiscent of Jeff Darrow or Mobius. It's filled with a lot of kinetic energy and fun details that make this feel like a very gritty, lived-in sci-fi world. Next slide, please. Our next book is Mushroom Knight, Volume 2. Volume 1 of the Mushroom Knight introduced us to the noble Mushroom Knight Gowlatrot and his vast forest kingdom located in an empty lot in Philadelphia. The second part of the Mushroom Knight trilogy continues the adventure of Gowlatrot and his quest to aid a young human girl named Lem as she searches for her dog. Along the way, the unlikely pair uncovers dangerous environmental threats to both of their worlds. Next slide, please. Volume 2 of the Mushroom Knight pulls us further into Gowlatrot's epic quest to learn how to stop the threat to his forest kingdom. Creator Oliver Bly's art is a major standout here as he balances the more grounded and realistic view of Lem's Philadelphia with the grand fantasy world of Gowlatrot's tiny forest kingdom. Next slide, please. The first volume of the Mushroom Knight won the award for Best Graphic Novel at the Indie Book Awards this year, and the creator of Mushroom Knight, Oliver Bly, won the Russ Manning Promising Newcomer Award at the Eisner Awards also this year. So we've been getting a lot of great praise for Volume 1, and we hope to keep it going with Volume 2. Next slide, please. Dick Tracy Volume 1, coming out in November, kicks off a series that will reintroduce Dick Tracy to modern audiences. Tonally, it's an evolution of the original Chester Gould comics, and it's a bit darker and more grounded than the Dick Tracy movie that many are familiar with. Next slide, please. Volume 1 explores Dick Tracy's early days as a beat cop in 1947, and it will tell the story of how he became the world's greatest detective. You can think of it as Dick Tracy getting the sort of a Batman Year One style treatment. Next slide, please. When the Blood Has Dried. When the Blood Has Dried is a spaghetti western that meets medieval fantasy, so a nice little mashup of those two genres. Next slide, please. Mabe is a retired assassin that's looking for a quiet life as a tavern owner, but her mysterious and violent past suddenly returns as the Ruthless Adventurers Guild comes through town. Fans of D&D, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings will definitely want to check this out. Next slide, please. Gatchaman. Gatchaman is based on the 1972 classic anime Science Ninja Team Gatchaman, which followed a superhero ninja team who opposed an international terrorist organization that is trying to control Earth's natural resources. Next slide, please. We kicked off our Gatchaman series on Free Comic Book Day this year, shipping 60,000 issues of Gatchaman #0 to comic shops all over North America, and came off as a huge success. We got a lot of really great positive feedback about that special. So this iteration of Gatchaman has some fun new twists to the world of Gatchaman, while keeping the spirit of excitement, big ideas, and epic storytelling of the original anime. Next slide, please. We've got a couple more Mad Cave titles that are also going to be coming out in the fall. Nottingham Volume 3 is the conclusion to our long-running Nottingham series, which is a sort of inversion of the Robin Hood story. Nottingham features the Sheriff of Nottingham as the main character, solving medieval style mysteries. Morningstar is a book about a fire jumper who's disappeared in the woods, and his family is searching for him. And they come across a more supernatural sci-fi mystery at the center of his disappearance. Next slide, please. We also have The Legendary Lynx by author Alex Segura, which is a tie-in to his famous novels. Legendary Lynx is about a street-level 70s vigilante. And it's also a meta story about the comic book industry at the time. And the next title here is Sanction, which is a true detective style murder mystery set in Soviet Russia. Next slide, please. We also wanted to talk today about Nakama Press, which is our new manga imprint that was recently announced at Anime NYC. And to talk more about that is our senior editor, Chris Simon. Next slide, please. So Chris.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. Mad Cave Studios, which is now celebrating 10 years, continues to expand its wide-ranging library of graphic novels and comics. Nakama Press is a new imprint focused on manga and other international offshoots of the art form, including manhwa, manfra, and manhwa. As we looked at the landscape of graphic storytelling, we noticed a growing appetite for manga and manga-inspired content in the American market. And at Mad Cave, we've always been committed to delivering compelling stories and pushing the boundaries of the medium. Nakama Press was born out of a desire to extend that mission, translating the world of manga from east to west. We see endless possibilities for storytelling, innovation, and reaching new audiences. Nakama, which means friends or comrades in Japanese, represents the community and shared passion we want to build around this imprint, publishing stories that resonate globally. Nakama will be a platform for a new type of storytelling, giving creators from around the world and the medium a space under our Mad Cave umbrella to bring universal stories in these formats to Western audiences. The imprint taps into the growing popularity of manga worldwide while honoring the form's traditions and supporting emerging artists. And I'll now hand it back to Jeffrey to tell you a little bit more about some of our upcoming titles.
Great, thank you very much, Chris. Next slide, please. Indigo will be our first title. Ella is a reporter for an occult magazine. She's also able to communicate with plants and animals. After her mentor dies mysteriously, Ella begins to investigate, but as she gets closer to the truth, she learns that this mystery goes much deeper than she could have thought. What starts as a murder investigation becomes an adventure to decide the fate of humanity and the entire universe. Next slide, please. Pantheon. The mysterious anarchist Typhon, the god of monsters, has sparked a fire that has spread across the world. Pablo Costello and his sister Anna are trapped in between the raging battle between gangs, police, gods, and monsters. That'll be coming out in June of 25. Next slide, please. Infinity Force. It all began when high school student Emi Kaido received a mysterious wish-granting pencil. With her life on the line, Emi uses the pencil to call upon heroes for protection. Gatchaman, Tekkaman, Kashan, Polymar. These defenders of justice across space and time to help Emmy weave the greatest tale of all time. This is a collection of Tatsunoko properties that are coming together for the very first time. So it's a sort of Avengers type situation with Tatsunoko properties. Next slide, please. Theory of KO. This will be coming out in July. This is 15 years after a global civil war. Beck searches for her missing mentor, Cal, through a dystopian world filled with hyper-surveillance, authoritarian health control, and danger at every turn. Beck's quest leads her to Bahara, a town known for its seedy underbelly and free fighting competitions. Next slide, please. And the last slide, and the last title we'll be talking about today is Architect's Epiphany. This will be coming out in August of 25. This is a sweeping adventure story set in a world full of fantastical creatures and magical powers. With pride and driven by vocation, the protagonists undertake a dire mission in search of hope and redemption amid the rise and fall of a civilization. Next slide, please. So that's all from us. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions about any of our Mad Cave titles or our Nakama titles, please feel free to get in touch with the team. We've got our email addresses here. And you can check out previews of our titles on Edelweiss, or you can talk to your Simon & Schuster rep for information about any of the titles we presented today. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much to the Mad Cave team. Our final presentation will come from Morgana Santilli and Ingrid Lorenzi at Yen Press. Morgana is the sales and marketing coordinator at Yen Press. She is a former comic shop manager and buyer and always particularly loved helping readers find their new favorite series. Other than reading manga, Morgana enjoys drinking lots of tea, snuggling with her 2 black cats, and collecting too many books for her children's personal library. Ingrid Lorenzi is the marketing assistant at Yen Press. A former bookseller and used book buyer at Strand Books, she is an avid fantasy reader and advocate for translated work. Aside from collecting old books and trying to win over her cat's affection, she spends her days scavenging for the best bubble tea places in the city and taking strolls in Central Park. Welcome, Morgana and Ingrid.
Thank you so much and welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us to hear about all the great books that are coming out this fall. My name is Morgana Santilli. I am the sales and marketing coordinator at Yen Press, and I'm joined by Ingrid today.
Hello everyone, thank you for having us. I'm the marketing assistant at Yen Press and I'm very happy to be here.
Right, and we're going to jump right into it. Next slide, please. All right, first up, we're very excited to present the Weirin Books Volume 2, The Ghost and the Stolen Dragon. This is the second volume in the Weirin Books series by Svetlana Shmakova. Many of you may recognize her name. She is the creator of the Berrybrook Middle School series, titles like Awkward, Brave, and Crush. Next slide, please. The Weirin Books brings all of the things that readers love about the Berrybrook series into a kind of fantastical supernatural world. You can see we have Svet's iconic artwork, very manga inspired. She's been part of this industry for many, many years and is just, you know, an incredible comics creator and craftswoman. The first volume of this series came out in 2020, so in the midst of a giant pandemic, but we're excited to see it continue and to see it reach more readers who are really interested in that middle grade space, but who want something a little bit more fantastical. Next slide, please. The Weirin books are part of a world that Svetlana Shmakova created for older readers in her Night School series, but these do not require any knowledge of that series. It's a lot of fun. You can see kind of cousins Ilis and Naya, who as they go about their daily lives in their night school setting, they also go to school at night to learn how to interact with their astrals, who are these kind of supernatural familiars that they have with them. And you can, as you can see, school is school, no matter whether or not you're magical. Next slide, please. Obviously, this is very similar to other works by Svetlana Shmakova, but also readers who enjoy the Amulet series by Kazu Kabuishi are really likely to, you know, get into this series, I think. This is coming out in October 15th of 2024, and is appropriate for the middle grade, ages 8 and up. Next slide, and I'm going to turn it over to Ingrid for the next few titles.
All right, so we have one of our newest series, Go 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 Ghost. Very much an onomatopoeia, this one. This is what I like to call a ladies' first title. It is a revenge comedy manga series that mixes the supernatural with the pains of being your average salary woman in Japan. So after her love affair gets exposed and she gets transferred to another company, Ushiro, our protagonist, believes she has hit rock bottom. However, there might be a silver lining in all of this. Next slide. So in her drunken stupor, she manages to have an out-of-body experience and summons a big sis Masako, her alleged guardian spirit, but truly a terrible ghost who strikes a deal with her. Have all their grudges be repaid, starting with the very man who caused it all. Next. So there are different entertaining aspects to this series, one of which is that Ushiro is unmistakably her. She isn't a bad person per se, but definitely not a good one. So she really acts on her wishes, and it is refreshing to see a female protagonist this selfish. This series also tackles corporate society, workplace bullyism, patriarchal values, and the role of the woman in all of this, making this a very varied and episodic read that will appeal to many worn-out adults. Next. Switching gears instead, we have Your Letter. So this is the latest release we have coming from Ice Press, our imprint dedicated to Korean comics. And as such, it is fully colored. In our print edition, we also have inserted a mock-up of a library checkout card, which is just a cute added bonus that really brings this edition one step closer to our own real world. So Your Letter is a tender and emotional read tackling bullyism and peer pressure. Next slide. A little bit more on the plot. After escaping bullyism at her previous middle school, Sori sees history repeat itself and becomes a target of mockery yet again. However, when she discovers a mysterious trail of letters, she embarks on a magical scavenger hunt that will make her rediscover herself and find strength in her own caring nature. Next. So this is what I like to call magical realism done right. It has a fun mystery premise, and fans of Ghibli will surely appreciate the whimsical nature portrayed in each and every page. It is also the perfect back-to-school read because of its middle school setting, but also the thematics it approaches. Next. Switching gears again, we have Togenaki, Legend of the Cursed Blood. This is a Jujutsu Kaisen meets a Blue Exorcist in this supernatural action manga series. It is a modern-day retelling of Monomotaro, which is one of Japan's most famous folklore stories. Next. So after his father gets killed, our young protagonist has to face the hidden legacy of his Oni blood and learn how to master his own powers, which in his case amount to giant guns sporting out of his body. If you're familiar with the gun devil of Chainsaw Man, then you will surely appreciate the aesthetics represented here. Next. So as I mentioned, this is a story about revenge, with our protagonist getting roped into attending a school where he will learn to train his own powers to fight against the Momotaro agency, the very own who killed his father, and strangely enough, the one that his father belonged to. So if you love a good dose of violence, action, you're here for a bloody good time. Next. This series has also been greenlit for an anime, which is going to air next year, making it one of the hottest shonen series to get at this moment. You definitely want to stock up because the students or your patrons will surely ask about this. And back to Morgana.
Thanks so much, Ingrid. So I kind of feel like the three-body problem almost needs no introduction. Xijin Liao's science fiction series has kind of taken the science fiction world by storm. There was a recent Netflix live-action adaptation of this story, and the novel itself has sold more than 3 million copies in the United States. So we are very excited to be able to present the Chinese comic adaptation in English for the first time. Next slide, please. As you can see, this is a full color adaptation, extremely faithful to the original novel. So fans of that original novel, fans of the Netflix series are really going to want to get their hands on this. Next slide, please. You can see that it takes in all of the kind of political beats of the story, as well as kind of some of those big science fiction questions. Next slide, please. We do have another title, a manga adaptation of a Cixin Liu book called Taking Care of God, available now. That is a single volume. This three-body problem comic adaptation comes out October 22nd. It is appropriate for ages 16 plus. And again, I think just with the kind of zeitgeist around the Netflix series and the, you know, incredible love that fans have of the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, the books themselves, I think this is going to be something that, you know, people are really going to be looking forward to. Next slide, please. And finally, last but certainly not least, Licorice Recoil. This is the Girls with Guns manga. Lots of fun, really cute, and also with lots and lots of action. This is in a Japan where crime is basically eradicated. The adorable schoolgirls of Licorice keep the streets safe. Next slide, please. As you can see, we have some really adorable character designs, some really interesting characters themselves, and lots of opportunities for those characters to interact as they kind of have, you know, pairs that they go around and to patrol the streets and keep them safe. Next slide, please. Lots of opportunities to see these girls having conversations and building their relationships. This is a really fun series with a lot of kind of girls love elements. Next slide, please. And you can see it would definitely appeal to fans of series like Bocchi the Rock or Other Side Picnic. This manga did have an anime adaptation in summer of 2022, which is very popular. It won both the 9th Annual Anime Trending Awards and the 7th Annual Crunchyroll Awards. So fans of those series, that series currently available for streaming, are definitely going to want to get their hands on this. This one's appropriate for ages 13 plus and is also out in October on the 15th. Next slide, please. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you again so much for joining us. That's my email address down there. Please feel free if you have any questions, you can send them my way. I also do a monthly newsletter that contains kind of where you can get digital review copies and some more information about our announcements and our upcoming titles that's geared toward librarians and retailers. So if you're interested in getting on that list, please shoot me an email and I'll add you to that. And otherwise, we are also going to be taking part in a Booklist webinar next week on romance titles. So if you want to know more about what we've got coming in the world of romance, we hope to see you there. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you so much, Morgana and Ingrid, and a huge thank you to all of today's wonderful panelists. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, slide presentation, title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit www.booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, and thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Random House Children's Books, Penguin School and Library, Square Enix Manga and Books, Mad Cave, and Yen Press. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.